Need more time, or where are we in that regard? And I guess...
I think both, but maybe we could address some of the specific objections to the pieces of evidence, have you rule on those, then what's left, I might ask for some time for some case law.
Well, I was wondering if that is the case and we're going to spend the time doing this. Do you have any other witnesses that are not on this issue that are here available to testify? Okay.
Yes.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we go on to the next witness, and we can take this up after the court is over and take it up at 8:30 again in the morning. So we can do what we can after this unrelated witness testifies,
Yes,
and then afford everybody that opportunity.
I'm amenable to that, Your Honor. I will point out, just so the court's aware, 2 of the witnesses are actually flown in from out of state, so we will have to make that arrangement, but I'll get that done. And
Okay, well, you know, this is the first time the court is hearing the argument about this.
Yes, Your
The
Honor.
parties have had these exhibits known to each side for I don't know how long. I didn't know until just now we were going to have that argument, and if parties are not prepared to continue on with the argument, I'm going to give them a little time to do so.
The state's prepared, Your Honor, but that's fine. We can wait.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring the next witness. Do you need somebody to get that witness?
Yeah, Judge, I think she's on the second floor. We're having her brought up right now.
Okay, thank you. With that in mind, is there anything else that we need to take up before we'll have the jury come in?
No, Your Honor.
Let me know.
I would ask the court's permission so I can inform the other witnesses that we won't need them till tomorrow and that
Yes.
they'll be spending an extra night.
Okay, thank you. Just when we know the witness is outside.
Judge, just for planning purposes, we believe the only witness we have available other than those is very short, we believe so, but I guess it's getting close to 5 o'clock anyway, so I think we're all right. Just want
Okay.
to alert the court.
Thank you.
Or the planning on going, we do have depositions set for this evening as well, starting at 5:30. So.
Okay. Witness is here. Let's go ahead and bring the jury in. Please be seated. Mr. Guy, call your next witness.
Judge Kristen Benson, please.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony in these proceedings will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ma'am. If you'd please tell the members of the jury your name.
Kristen Benson.
Ms. Benson, how are you employed?
I work as a latent print analyst for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office.
How long with the Seminole County Sheriff's Office?
I've been with the agency a total of 8 years.
And how long in the area of latent print examination?
Just under 3 years.
Can you tell the members of the jury briefly what your duties are as a latent print examiner?
I examine items of evidence for the presence of latent prints. I also perform comparisons of latent prints to known standards, and I issue reports with my findings.
And if you could summarize, please, the training education that you've had to prepare you for your duties as a latent print examiner.
I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Management. I also successfully completed both the latent print technician and analyst training programs at the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. I also received approximately 300 hours of additional training from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Florida Division of the International Association for Identification, among other agencies as well.
Have you ever been tendered as an expert in the courts of the state of Florida in the areas of latent print identification and/or latent print comparison?
Yes.
How many times?
7.
You know, at this time I would tender Ms. Benson as an expert in the field of latent print identification and fingerprint comparison.
She will be allowed to testify in that area.
Explain then, if you would, please, for the members of the jury, what is a latent print? What do you mean by that?
A latent print is the unintentional recording of your fingerprints or palm prints. When you touch a surface or an item, residue such as perspiration or body oils that may be present on your hands can then transfer the ridge detail that's found in your fingerprints onto a surface, leaving behind a latent print.
And what is meant by the expression, a latent print of value?
A latent print of value means that there's a sufficient amount of information in that latent and the ridge detail in order to either identify a person or eliminate a person as being the source of that latent print.
Is a latent print of value then one that is suitable for comparison?
Yes.
How can a latent print not be of value or be of no value?
It may lack clarity. It may lack information in the ridge detail. It also may be heavily distorted.
If a person touches a surface, and I'll use my example, my thumb on that surface, is there any guarantee that I'll leave a latent print of value?
No.
Why not?
First of all, there has to be enough residue on the hands present to transfer onto the surface. Another reason might be is the surface of the item that you're touching or the object needs to be conducive to receiving a latent print. Generally, heavily textured or rough surfaces are less likely to receive a latent print than, say, a smooth surface would be.
Can latent prints be destroyed if they are deposited?
Yes.
How is that?
Excessive handling of a surface or the object that has suspected latent prints on it can wipe away, damage, or destroy latent prints. Also, environmental conditions such as rain or heavy humidity can damage or even destroy latent prints.
And in your field, what is meant by a latent print card?
A latent print card generally is a white card that's used to preserve latent print evidence on.
And how are those used in your work?
Generally, we receive latent print cards to examine for the presence of latent prints.
What is a known ink print?
A known inked print is an intentional recording of your fingerprints or palm prints for the purpose of identification.
And if you have a latent print of value and a known ink print, explain for the jury how you go about comparing those two to determine whether or not they were left by the same individual.
Once I've determined that there's a latent print of value, I'm then going to do a side-by-side comparison with the known inked print. I'm going to look for similarities and differences. I'm going to look for things that may be in agreement or not in agreement. And after a thorough examination and comparison is completed, I'm then going to determine that it either was identified with that known print or not identified with that print.
And did you have an opportunity to examine a latent print card in the case of the state of Florida versus George Zimmerman?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Benson, let me show you states 183, already in evidence. Ask you, do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Is that a card that you examined in this case?
Yes.
And can you just kind of hold it up for the jury from where you are and just explain it to them, explain the latent card to them?
Okay, this is a latent lift card that was, a area of interest was developed, and they placed a clear, or whoever lifted this print placed a clear piece of cellophane tape on top of the latent and then placed it onto the latent print card on the opposite side that you see here.
And did you examine that card to determine whether or not there were any latent prints of value?
Yes, I did.
Explain to the members of the jury how you went about that.
I used a handheld magnifier to examine the lift areas that were present on this latent lift card.
Did you find any latent prints of value on states 183?
No.
All right. Ms. Benson, did you have any further involvement in the case?
No.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just very briefly. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good.
Do you even know from looking at that document you have in front of you where that print was lifted from?
There is a lift location that was filled out that says where it came from.
And what is that location?
The lift location says the slide of a firearm located within item TS-1.
Okay. And in effect, taken from a firearm, correct?
That's what's indicated on the lift card, yes.
Okay. And did you only get one latent print
Yeah.
to review?
Yes, I only received one latent card to review.
And you had mentioned that environmental effects can have a negative effect on latent prints, correct?
Yes, it can damage latent print.
And I think you mentioned that rain itself can?
It can.
Because what is left as part of the latent print or the makeup of the latent print are oils from the skin?
It can be, yes.
Okay, and other debris, but it allows for the weight determination because the fingerprint can leave a minute amount of oily substance that actually is the print itself, right?
Yes.
Okay, and water can wash that away.
Yes.
So that fingerprints may have existed on an item that you would lift a latent from, and there be no latents whatsoever, correct?
That's correct.
Even though the gun's been handled by 1, 2, or 3 people.
That's correct.
Any other latent work or fingerprint work that you did have anything to do with the Zimmerman case?
No.
Great, thank you. No, nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. May Ms. Benson be excused?
You may.
Thank you. You are excused. Council, approach for just a moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some matters that we have to take care of outside your presence, and instead of having you sit back in the jury room, I'm going to go ahead and excuse you for the evening. During the recess overnight, you're not to read or listen to any radio, television, or newspaper reports about the case. You're not to discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anybody else. You're not to use any type of electronic device to get on the internet to do independent research about the case, people, places, things, or terminology. And you're not to read or create any emails, text messages, Twitters, tweets, blogs, or social networking pages about the case. Do I have your assurance that you'll abide by these instructions? Okay, thank you very much. Have a good evening. Put your notepad face down on the chair. Oh. Please be seated. Do council wish to continue the conversation at the bench? I don't know if you wanted to. Okay. Court is going to be in recess for the purposes of the attorneys until 8:30 in the morning, for the jury till 9 a.m. So court is in recess.